Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is Farah. We talk about building an Amazon business on this channel. So if you're interested in that, please do hit subscribe. So in today's video, I am back with the promised interview with my seller friend Mandeep from Canada. She sells on Amazon US and Canada, and she's going to be sharing her experience, her journey. How did she start? How did I start? We have a great conversation around these topics, business and how it's impacted our family life and running the business as moms, as women, and all these wonderful things. So make sure you guys watch it till the end. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer. So here it is. Enjoy.
So, Mandeep, my first question to you is, how did your selling journey start
That's a
on
very good
Amazon?
question. It started actually on YouTube. I had listened to a podcast about hustling online, and one day when I was driving home from work, and the person who was being interviewed was talking about how they resold books on Amazon. Now, I didn't want to
Yeah.
sell books, but I think 6 months later, I was overlooked for a promotion at work, and I was a bit frustrated. So I went out to YouTube on how to sell products on Amazon. I had no idea that you could sell any, I did not know about what private label, wholesaling, online arbitrage. I knew none of that. So I started actually with YouTube. Through that
Yeah.
process, unfortunately, I did buy an overpriced, under-delivered course that led me to
Hmm.
failed products. And I always say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So I looked at those two launches I did and figured out that product research and Amazon ads, or PPC, was where I needed to invest more time and learning in. So I did
Yeah.
that. And then the third product
Yeah.
I launched right before COVID started, and it took off.
Hmm.
And here I am now, almost 6 years later. I was able to quit my full-time job in November 2020, and I do this full-time and absolutely love it.
Do you mind telling us what was your background and where about your job and where your work background before you started Amazon?
Yeah. So actually, I'm Canadian, and I sell products in the US and Canada. And I guess the entrepreneurial bug was in me because my dad was always an entrepreneur. He always told me that
Hmm.
you can work a 9 to 5 for the bare minimum, but if you want to get ahead in this country, you have to be doing side hustles. That's what we call it
Yeah.
now, but that's
Yeah.
the cool term to call it. But he's like, you always have to be
Yeah.
doing something. So my parents had like a t-shirt business when I was young, and I was selling those t-shirts in kindergarten, to my friends. I'd be wearing them. They'd be like,
So you
hey,
had a bit of training when you were growing up.
I know. And
It was in the family.
yeah, and I didn't know until many years later. So then I ended up going to university. I moved to British Columbia, so the other side of Canada, with my husband.
Yeah.
Became a stay-at-home mom for 8 years, but I always longed for some sort of independence of my life outside of being a mom. And I think
Hmm.
a lot of moms can relate to that. I love being a mom, don't get me wrong,
Definitely.
right? But I
Yeah.
want an identity outside of that. So I started working, but it's very difficult to work and have a good work-life balance when you have children, especially my kids play sports. And I know, Farah, your kids are all involved in
Yeah.
curricular activities. So it was navigating through that. And I kind of, the last job I worked was for a tech company, and it was great because it was remote. And this is prior
Yeah.
to the pandemic, and I realized remote work is where it's at. And so I kind of,
Mm.
that natural progression came into Amazon FBA, and I love working from home. It is definitely a
Yeah.
perk. And
I
I don't think
mean,
I could
yeah,
go back.
as moms, it's brilliant being able to be have that flexibility to be there for your kids and have your schedule and be able to work when you can. I
Yeah.
think that's is one of the biggest perks with selling on Amazon or doing anything related in terms of Amazon because it's all online. So I wanted to my next thing I wanted to ask you was during this 6 years of journey, what was a difficult moment that you went through and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I think launching those two failed products, I mean, we all watch those YouTube videos like, oh, this product will make you $10,000, and that's the
Yeah.
success you want. But you realize, I think a large majority of why people fail at this business is because it's an actual business. And
Yeah.
every business takes time, money, resources to put in. So it was very humbling for me after launching two failed products. And I wouldn't say they were failures of me, but financial failures. Going back to the drawing board saying, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure this out. And so, like I said, is reassessing where I made the mistakes along those journeys, whether it be
Mm.
PPC, understanding, what's the difference between a broad campaign, an exact campaign, like those fundamentals
Yeah.
are so, so important in your Amazon FBA business. And to this day, I still do my own PPC on Mondays. Like that's,
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to, I think you're absolutely right. Like Amazon PPC is the puzzle piece of the puzzle, like you've got to figure out. Do you mind sharing what those failed products were? Just to give our audience a bit of context.
I think one was like, it was this set for birthday parties,
Yeah,
and just over, because it met all the criteria. It was lightweight, it was
yeah,
easy, but there were 70 other sellers selling that same product.
yeah, yeah.
um
Do you know,
and
like obviously the sorry to interrupt you, like whenever you like hear about like especially failed products, the way, because I've been selling for like over a decade now, I've had failed products too. And I think the thing that people don't realize is to arrive at your winning, you've got to have some failures. This you can't arrive at your winning product on your first try. This is what people miss out on, and they give up really quickly. That it takes a while. So I think you're absolutely right. Like after, like you didn't give up after two, but you did realize that there is something missing in what I've been taught, and you figured that out on your own. So that's brilliant.
so now I do have my own course. I know
Yeah,
I am the anti-course person, but a large
yeah,
part of the reason I have my own course is because I do have a background in adult education. And I was really frustrated with people who were buying. I was doing one-to-one consulting and helping students who would reach
yeah,
out on Instagram because I started documenting my journey. And
yeah.
it's the lack of information that these courses were teaching, and it was so frustrating.
The
And
gaps,
the
isn't
gap,
it? Like the
the
gaps
gap,
between the information.
yeah.
Exactly. You're right.
And,
You're right.
and so that's why I was wanting to ensure that if I ever launched a course, that I wanted to support my students the best I can. And so my students then, like, they get to avoid all the pitfalls and all the mistakes I made and that I've seen through coaching and seeing what other products, to avoid. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it gives you a higher chance of success if you have the right mentor in place that is going to, I could see products and be like, don't launch that. Like the pump grass of
Yeah.
2022. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, I posted a TikTok video. Please do not launch this product. It is oversaturated.
Do you know, when in terms of like products, like now you mentioned that one, at that time when I was working with clients, it was like a hot product. Everybody was talking about that. But the thing is, like what I say is like products have life cycle,
Yeah.
right? They go through a life cycle, they have a peak, and then they drop out. And that's why you need to build a flywheel of products.
Yes.
You can't rely, if you have a hit one year, it's not going to be a hit next year. There's
Yeah.
going to be competition. You're going to get found out, things like this. So that's why it's a business.
Yeah.
You've got to take care of it and be on it. It's not that passive.
No.
So all right, so let's talk a bit about like how having this business has impacted your lifestyle. You've mentioned that you've been able to create more time for your family.
It wasn't all, there was a point. Okay, so
Yeah.
after launching during the pandemic, while everybody was baking banana bread, I was launching products. using the same
Yeah.
method over and over and over and again. And I
Yeah.
remember saying to my family, okay, this last product, once this launches, I'm going to quit my job, because it got to the
Yeah.
point where you become obsessed and
Mhm.
you're spending all your time. And, my son said to me, Mom, you said that about the last product. And I kind of had that moment of, okay, I did not quit my full-time job until I was making more money on Amazon. That's number one, because
Yeah.
we are in different stages of our life. We have children, we have
Exactly.
financial responsibilities. So I do recommend
100%.
people scale to the point, like reinvest, keep launching products until they're making more than their full-time job. And then whatever that looks like for you financially, everybody has different decisions. But I felt like, okay, there's no point in having this great business, this great job, then my family's starting to suffer now.
Yeah.
And so that's when I said, okay, I'm comfortable. I've been consistently making this for the last few months. I am going to risk and try on my own. And if worse comes to worse, right, I can go back and find a job. Like I'll be able to,
Yeah.
even though I did love my job. So once quitting my full-time job and then dedicating more time, I became
Yeah.
more efficient.
Mhm.
My PPC ad spend went down because I had more time to focus on that.
Yeah.
And then scaling in Canada happened. I scaled quite a bit in Canada, which has seen it's become such a huge part of my business. But there's some things
Yeah.
now that, like, my core working hours are 9 to 2, because those are the times my kids are pretty much in school, and I maintain that. And yes,
Exactly. Those exactly are my working hours. I would say 10 to 2 because I take a long breakfast. So yeah, I need to work on that. But yeah,
but
so
that's
how long would you say, like, between like launching your business and finding that time where you actually quit your job? Would it be a year or two, three,
that took me just over a year,
over
to
a year?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's going to be dependent on your cash flow.
Hmm.
Right? The more products you can, like, I would never say launch 10 at the beginning. I would say launch one. And
Yeah.
in my course, I talk about doing a SWOT analysis of that product launch. So what were the strengths,
I
weaknesses,
agree. Yeah.
competitions, and threats? And then understanding and analyzing that, and really just going, okay, well, what am I going to do next? What makes strategic sense if I'm creating a brand now? Like, I have students
Hmm.
now who I say, okay, you want to get brand registry because you can benefit from video ads, which I find are a smaller or lower cost per click. You could do product collection ads, or do you want to keep continuing and scaling your business, right? And so those are important questions you start asking yourself as you go through time, of how much do I want to reinvest. I also now take money, I pay myself a salary. Uh,
Mm,
yeah, because
you're a
I
big girl.
there's no point in
Yeah.
making this money and putting it back all into the business. Um,
No, I like what we do in our business is obviously we take a salary as well. So my husband and I, we work together in the business,
yeah,
and we take a salary and then we invest the profits back into the business.
yes,
So you have to pay yourself. You're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have to pay yourself, and so don't
Yeah.
get. But it's this. But it also depends on what's your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think it takes a while to arrive at that point. For myself, like I went through a time where it to find my winning product, I think it took me about 2 years. But I wasn't launching, like I didn't have any big losses initially because I was in a buy as you sell model,
yeah,
want to call it that. And I wasn't importing big from China initially. So that suited me. And I was able to then start paying myself, like, once I had my winning product and a regular, sales revenue coming in. So very important question. I think everybody will be very interested in this. Like, how did you fund your business? The startup phase of it.
how did I fund it?
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Well,
how did you find investment for your business? Did you have some savings or like what did you do?
So to this date, I have never relied on external resources to fund my business. That is just, and maybe I haven't scaled to where other people have, and I'm sure, other people who meet me and I offer that advice, they're like, no, you need to get you need to do this, you need to take a business loan and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
For me, comfort is being able to sleep at night knowing I owe nobody anything financially.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I self-funded the business and reinvested the
Yeah.
profit. And so for me, that was really important. And it's one of the things my dad actually taught me. And people take financial advice different ways. Some people view
Yeah.
their as an investment, some people do not view it as an investment. It's all on how you interpret it. But for me, it was self-funding myself. I never recommend people, borrow money from friends or family like that. This should be your own money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I agree. I started the same way. In fact, like I mentioned, my partner, he lent me my first £200 to buy my first batch of products.
yeah.
And I think I sold them at a profit. So I took the profit back. And then because I didn't lose money, I got more funding from him. And because I started slow and
Yeah.
small, I was able to just grow it at a pace as I was learning.
Yes.
I think what the problem today is people want results fast.
Yes.
I want to put it all in. Here you go, 10K in, and
No.
it's too risky that way. Because you don't even a lot of you don't even know how to run the business yet.
Yeah.
You haven't got the hang of it yet. So I think you're definitely right. Like it has to start with small investments and self-funded and in the start for you to actually be able to scale it at your pace as you're learning, as you're growing.
A question I always get is, how long will it take me to make $10,000 a month? I'm like, first of all, stop watching those videos. Okay.
Yeah.
And your focus, it's kind of like, so I'm always on this fitness journey, and I worked with a trainer a while back, and he said everybody
Yeah.
walks into the gym and says, how long until I lose 50 pounds? And he says, why don't you focus on the first 5? Let's just win there. And so I always say is, how about you launch a product successfully? Why don't we
That's
start
an example.
right?
Yeah.
And get
The
there,
first few steps.
and then you can scale, you can add variations, color, sizes. Like the money will come if you build the base. I'm a firm believer.
Yeah, true. Right. I wanted to obviously you've been in this journey for about 6 years. I wanted to ask you, what was like one of the decisions that you made that you now look back and you regret? Any regrets?
Not starting sooner.
Ah,
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I think not starting, I think there's this fear of making money online and that everything is
Mm-hmm.
like a scam and you can't make money online. Understanding it is passive because I don't have to show up physically to make money. And that's a thought a lot of people have. And I know my kids are in the school system, in high school here and one in post-secondary. And it's always like, go to school, get a job, that's how you make money. And you
Yeah.
realize that people who actually build long-term generational wealth do not do that. you
Yeah.
know? And so making your money work for you, like I was away, we went to Amazon Unboxed where were
Yeah.
there. I went on a cruise the following week. My business still ran.
Yeah.
Obviously I topped up my inventory. I did check my ads one of the days, but I didn't have to physically show up to work. And so people who understand that you can make your money work for you, I think are the ones who are going to excel, and they can absorb this cost of living crisis much better than the wages that are not supplementing the cost of living. Like I know in Canada, the UK, and the US, everything is expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, now that you mentioned, making your money work for you, talk about those, the spend and the points that we earn because of the Amazon ad spend. So I'm just mentioning my example. So we have the Amex spend, and
Yeah.
all of our ad spend goes onto that. So that, when you mentioned the conference, we didn't pay for the hotels.
Yeah.
So we stayed at, yeah, it was all on points. And obviously, as a person who is in a job, you can never make that kind of expense because you're going to pay £200-300 per night.
Yeah.
But, because you're accruing that, hotel points, like, because I'm based in the UK, we get more benefit in hotel points than miles.
Yeah.
So I tend to, direct my points or to the hotel side. So yeah, that's one way of working your money. And, that's your Amazon ad spend working for you.
Oh
More
yeah.
benefits. Yeah.
My ads, my ads are on my credit card. Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
You still gotta pay it. Make sure you have enough money to pay it. But
Yeah.
you can benefit whether it be points or whether it be cash back. Yeah, no, those are,
Yeah.
and that's what people need to realize is that when, they see my content, they're like, how are you able to afford all this travel? Right? It's like,
Yeah.
well, I have all these other benefits, like
Yeah.
being
And
a business.
having a business like enables you to be able to make those kind of decisions, isn't it? Like you wouldn't be able to do that otherwise.
Opportunities. So this weekend, my husband and I are going away for 3 days, and I thought to myself, because an opportunity came up, and if I had a job, I'd be like, oh, I got to find somebody to cover my shift, or I got to figure
Yeah.
this out, or I got like that flexibility is so worth it.
Gold.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. So
Absolutely.
you could travel off peak periods because of that.
Yes. Yeah. Interesting, like your point of view on like how you've come through the years and selling on Amazon. What would be your advice to somebody who is about to start or thinking about starting selling on Amazon or has just found out about it?
First of all, I would say make sure you're ready to commit like 3 to 5 hours a week to this. And I understand everybody's busy and everybody's got other priorities. I committed, I actually, probably not the best example, but I used to go to the gym from 6 to 7 a.m. But when I was launching my business, I would stay up once the kids went to bed 10 to 1, 2 in the morning, talking to suppliers, and I put the time and effort in. I knew that temporarily giving up on the gym was what I had to do. Once I left my job, I went back to the gym, and now I can leisurely wake up and decide, actually, I'm going to work out today a little bit later. So that's kind of nice, but there is sacrifice and commitment involved. And
Yeah.
I know we can sit there and be like, oh my God, an e-commerce business. Like I have no e-commerce background. I don't know what I'm doing. It's all figure outable. It is all figure outable. We're not doing open heart surgery. We're finding
Yeah.
products for cheap and bringing them in onto Amazon, and understand that we're just scratching the surface of e-commerce, especially with Amazon. And Farah, I don't know if you felt this way, but at Accelerate, you get that feeling of how big Amazon is, right? And
Yeah. I mean, you've done it for 6 years, and you saying yourself that your biggest mistake is you didn't start earlier enough.
yeah,
I've been doing this for over 15 years now,
wow.
and I started actually straight out of university,
Yeah.
and it was the 2008 financial crisis. There weren't that many jobs to go around at that time, so I started at that time, and we're still in it, aren't we? So, you're spot on.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to speak to your longevity because I've now met you, I've talked to you. I think it's because and you're a mentor, I'm a mentor. I would suggest to anybody, it is worthwhile hiring somebody or purchasing a course. I'm not anti-course, and I'm not just saying that because I sell a course, because you will save some money on pitfalls and mistakes, but
Yeah.
make sure whoever course you're purchasing or whoever you decide is your mentor, they're not promising you get rich quick. And that's why I resonate with you, Farah, is because our foundation of understanding that this is a business, you do have to put work in. Like, you know, if they're telling you, here's my Lambo, run away. Run away.
Do
Run
not fall for the
away.
Lambo.
Okay. Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
Lambo in our videos. It's
No.
hard work, persistency, and that you can do it. You know, we
Yeah.
as South Asian women, I don't think a lot of representation is in there in e-commerce of us, but
Yeah.
hey, we've done it.
We've got it. Yeah, definitely.
We've done it.
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you so much, Mandeep, for your insight and your, taking time to talk to me. And, it's been great.
thank you, Farah. I really appreciate you. And I feel so excited about connecting maybe 6 months later, chit-chatting about Amazon FBA. So if you are enjoying this video, make sure you comment and put some questions below.
Yeah.
We'd be happy to answer the best we